Afternoon, everyone. Rob Desai here with the tropical update for Thursday, October 11th, 2018. And as you can see, the tropics are slowly but surely starting to wind down as we do head into mid-October, as Tropical Storm Michael is now well inland, as well into the Carolina region. He's still continuing to dump some very heavy rain and bringing some gusty winds to that area. However, we also do still have Hurricane Leslie, which is off the screen at the moment, but we will be able to look at the satellite and the infrared radar for that later. We also have Tropical Storm Nadine south of that, which is also off the screen at the moment, but that tropical storm is forecast to dissipate soon enough. We also have Tropical Storm Sergio in the eastern Pacific, which is about to approach the Baja California peninsula and will be bringing quite a bit of heavy rain and gusty winds to that area. Now, looking at the 5-day forecast, the 5-day tropical weather outlook from the National Hurricane Center, you can see we have Leslie, Category 1 hurricane with winds at 80 miles an hour. Nadine is 60-mile-an-hour tropical storm starting to weaken. However, Michael is still a tropical storm with winds of 50 miles an hour, even well inland. And it's actually forecast to strengthen as time goes on, as it does start to pull away from the east coast. And we do also have the disturbance in the Caribbean, but now it's a 40% chance of development rather than a 50% chance. And it does say that interaction with land could limit the chance of formation when it does start to approach Central America Monday or Tuesday. So it does look like the chances for that disturbance developing are decreasing, and the models do agree with that, which will be good news if it doesn't develop, as we definitely don't need any more systems developing in the Atlantic. I think we've had enough for this season. Now, looking at the East Pacific, however, Tropical Storm Sergio is still holding on with winds of 65 miles an hour, as it has been for quite a bit now. It's able to still hold on to its strength, and as you can see in the top right corner of this infrared imagery, you can see the Baja Peninsula coming into view. So Sergio is rapidly approaching that area. If we look at the 5-day cone, you can see it's moving quick pace northeast at 23 miles an hour. Again, still has winds at 65 miles an hour. It has a very large wind field as well, so it's going to be impacting quite a large area. As you can see, for much of the central Baja Peninsula, we do have tropical storm warnings up, and Sergio is forecast to maintain its strength as it does come ashore as a moderate tropical storm. And we'll be bringing some heavy rain, definitely some heavy rain, and also some pretty gusty winds to that area. Then it will be crossing into the Gulf of California and then making landfall in mainland Mexico. Also, probably as a tropical storm, maybe a tropical depression. It will be weaker, though, and then it should be dissipating somewhere in inland Mexico. But the remnants of Sergio will be bringing some heavy rain also to the desert southwest region of New Mexico and in western Texas. Looking at Tropical Storm Nadine, you can see the Tropical Storm Nadine is getting absolutely ripped apart by some very high wind shear. The center circulation is in here and it's completely devoid of thunderstorm activity at the moment. I expect at the 5 p.m. advisory that it's going to be downgraded to a minimal tropical storm. It'll probably dissipate very shortly after that. And if we look at the 5-day track, you can see it doesn't even go out to 5 days. It ends on Saturday morning, as the NHC is forecasting that Nadine will dissipate by Saturday morning as it starts to head to the northwest, and it's not going to be impacting any land races. And we can see if the 5 p.m. advisor did come out, and it did come out, and now it has weakened to 50 miles an hour, as I predicted. So it's continuing to weaken, and it should dissipate by Saturday morning, Saturday afternoon at the latest. Now, looking at Hurricane Leslie, on the other hand, Leslie is still continuing to maintain its strength as it's been doing for a very long time. It's been almost 3 weeks now since it formed. It formed September 23rd. Now it's October 11th. It's still churning in the East Atlantic, and it's very impressive what it's been able to do. And now if you look at the 5-day track, if we refresh the page, well, the 5 p.m. advisory for Leslie, I guess, hasn't still come out yet. But you can see that it is forecast to continue to head towards the northeast region as a hurricane, the northeast Atlantic rather, and then it should turn south and west again, but by that point it should dissipate, or it should become an extratropical cyclone, and then I think Leslie should finally be gone for good, and we won't have to talk about it anymore. And the good news also is that it won't be impacting any land. Some great news for sure. Looking at Tropical Storm Michael now, you can see that Michael is still holding on to tropical storm strength, even though it's been inland now for over 24 hours. It made landfall around 1:30 p.m. on the Florida Panhandle. Still holding on to 50-mile-an-hour winds, and it's actually could forecast to strengthen a bit as it does start to make the transition into an extratropical cyclone as it does head off to the north and east. And some facts about Michael so far: 16 deaths total have been reported. That includes areas of Central America and in Cuba and Mexico. And three deaths reported so far in the U.S. That is surprisingly low considering how strong and how powerful it was. But hopefully it does stay on the lower side, and hopefully we don't see any more deaths reported. Although unfortunately, there probably will at least be a few more deaths that they do find. Another interesting fact about Michael is that it was the third lowest pressure at landfall, third lowest pressure in U.S. history, behind Hurricane Camille in 1969, which made landfall in the Mississippi-Alabama region, and the Labor Day hurricane in 1935. That one made landfall at pressure of 892 millibars. I don't think we'll be beating that record anytime soon. And that landfall was in South Florida, and Michael made landfall at 919 millibars, which is still very, very impressive, definitely. Now, if you look at the infrared radar for Michael, you can see that it's definitely has a lot of thunderstorm activity still going on, and of course, still a lot of heavy rain is being dumped in the Carolinas region and in areas of Virginia. If we look at the radar, you can see, of course, the very heavy rain associated with Michael, indicated by all these yellows, oranges, and especially the reds. Then you can also see that Michael is merging with this cold front, which is currently impacting regions of Pennsylvania and New Jersey, actually, where I am. It is starting to rain at the moment. And this cold front is also impacting areas of New England. And so this is going to be a very big rainmaker, especially for the Virginia area, well, it already is. And it's going to also bring a lot of rain to areas of the Delmarva Peninsula and the Chesapeake Bay region. And areas of southern New Jersey and the Jersey Shore as well will be getting a lot of rain from Hurricane Michael, or Tropical Storm Michael, rather. And also there will be, of course, the threat for some gusty winds is still there, as it is packing winds of 50 miles an hour in the center, and that wind speed is actually going to be increasing over the next few hours. So there's still a slight wind threat from Michael. And you can see now on this map that there are a lot of watches and warnings. If we zoom into, this is the NWS of Raleigh, North Carolina. You can see tropical storm warnings are all around, and also flash flood warnings are all around the area as well. And I have also seen some reports of some tornado watches and tornado warnings reported in areas of North Carolina and in Virginia. So there's still the tornado and severe threat associated with Michael as well. And now if we look at the 5-day track for Michael for the next few days, you can see it is going to be exiting the U.S. around the Delmarva region. And then that's when it probably should become extratropical, a non-tropical cyclone, but a powerful one at that. And it will be continuing to gain strength as it does move across the open Atlantic. But the good news is that should not be impacting any land, at least until it gets into Europe, and then it will probably become quite a strong windstorm for the British Isles and the France region in 5 days' time. Now looking at the total rainfall estimates out of the 12Z GFS for the next several days with Michael, or the next several hours rather, you can see that there is still the forecast out of what's already been dumped, of course. And in addition to that, you can see there's also forecast for another 4 to 5 inches of rain in the Virginia region, and for Maryland and Delaware and the Chesapeake Bay region, could be up to 5 to even 6 inches of rain, and areas of 3 to 4 inches of rain possible also for southern New Jersey and the Cape May region. And even areas further away might still get at least about 2 to 3 inches of rain. It is definitely possible. Fortunately, though, for my region, New Brunswick, New Jersey, it looks like it's going to be only about an inch or two. It's definitely some good news, as we definitely don't need any more rain after all the rain we've been having this past summer and now this fall as well. And now looking at the next several days for the rest of the tropics, looking at the European model, the good news for the next few days is that it does look to be quiet. As you can see, we have the low pressure, which will be the disturbance in the Caribbean, day 3, but the European does not show developing into anything significant, which is some great news. Now comparing that to the GFS shows a similar situation in which there doesn't look like there's going to be any future tropical cyclone development, at least not within the near future. Maybe there might be still another chance for some tropical rum at the end of October into the beginning of November, but that'll still be a while from now, and even then, that's just a chance. It is entirely possible that Nadine was the last storm of the year, and I hope that that's the case, because then that would mean we don't have to see any more storms like Michael, which would be definitely some good news. And the last thing, I want to check the FE3 GFS. This is the new version of the GFS, the upgraded version, so-called upgraded. And looking at the FE3 GFS, you can see that it shows a similar situation where it's just going to be basically high pressure throughout much of the tropical Atlantic. And for the Caribbean, it looks totally empty. No disturbance, not even any low pressure. Talk about that's some great news. So it looks like the tropics will be quieting down as Michael, Nadine, and Leslie start to dissipate, which is some great news. Thank you for watching, everyone.